Good morning to the Think Teacher community. It's my privilege this morning to introduce to you Jasmyn Pretorius. She's a registered psychologist with the Registered Health Professions Council of SA, but the bonus for us is that she's also been a teacher. So she still says registered and has her PGCE after her BA in psychology. Jasmyn has her qualifications in every level of our education. It's FET, senior and intermediate, and she taught for a number of years before going into private practice. And she's well qualified to serve our Think Teacher community she's got a master's in community health promotion, psychology, and honors in advanced remedial education and educational psychology. So, Jasmyn, welcome.
Thank you very much, Kim, for that lovely introduction.
I did have to look to my notes because there are so many qualifications, but I know that you've got a heart for teachers and teaching and their pupils, and we all know that what impacts the pupils impacts the teachers, and what impacts the teachers impacts
Absolutely.
The pupils.
It's a community, it's a holistic collective whole, and everyone impacts everyone. The ecosystems, Bronfenbrenner, we're all aware of it. And I think that the trauma and the grief of COVID that we experience as teachers is almost double that of a normal person, because it's not only just the stress of suddenly online learning, adapting the curriculum, not seeing your kids face to face, but also hearing one day, you lose a family member, the next day one of your pupils, have COVID or their parents pass away, and somehow COVID and grief have become a way of life for us. And almost, especially...
almost desensitized us.
Yes, absolutely desensitized. We've become almost immune to our own trauma and what happens when a pandemic like this strikes, and especially within a community, whether it be a school community or a global community, is that we stop dealing with the grief and we just carry on because we don't have a choice. The world cannot stand still for a year, for 10 years. We don't know how long it's going to last now. And especially as teachers, we wear different hats with our pupils. And I'm sure all of us have taken on the burden of, dealing with our pupils' grief, never mind our own grief. And, grief is very much like, a press-stick ball. It picks, if you don't deal with it, you keep picking up little pieces until eventually you've got this massive grief that just explodes. And it can be the tiniest thing, that isn't even related. But because we haven't had the skills, the time, the finances, the human contact, which has been, almost removed.
Yeah.
We don't manage our own mental health, and grief spreads. It's something that attacks you holistically, professionally, emotionally, physically, in your family, with your friends. Even we go into depression and we don't even know it's depression because, we don't have the skills and tools and knowledge to deal with it all the time. As teachers, we're constantly busy and we constantly, lesson plans and dealing with admin and marks and all of this. We don't have time. So basically, the webinar that I'd like to present, is specifically focused on teachers. And I deal with grief throughout all professions, but specifically aimed at teachers, at not only equipping you to manage and deal with your grief, because it's a process, there's no magic wand, but also how to empathize and wear the counselor hat and the supportive hat that you need to for your teacher without taking on other people's pain and emotion, because that also happens. We take on everyone else's, especially if we empaths, which most teachers are. Our kids are our kids. So we take on their emotion and we go home and we you know, we've got our own families to deal with, but and our own grief and trauma and stress. But at the same time, our hearts are bleeding for and grieving for a child that's lost a parent, or that no longer has a family, that no longer has an income, or you know, so dealing with not only your own grief, dealing with your school community environment's grief, and then being almost a lay counselor, you know, because we have different roles. So I think
you, Jasmyn. Sure.
You've
You've given us so much in this really introduction to your webinar. So I just want to say to our teachers out there, as Jasmyn has pointed out, so often teachers shelve themselves. They're busy, they don't have the time resources, financial resources, really to get the help that they need, and they're carrying extra loads, not only their own personal ones. So Jasmyn and I are going to be recording a fuller webinar on grief, and she's really making herself available to the Think Teacher community to help you through, to give you somewhere to stand with your grief, so that you're not consumed by the grief, the communal grief besides your own, and all that you're dealing with. So this is just our introduction to let you know it's coming in about a week and a half's time. Jasmyn will be on the Think Teacher platform and on social media platforms, offering us really readily accessible help that you can tap into and share at any time with those who need it. So Jasmyn, I want to say thank you so much to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And I'll see you in about a week's time, and the Think Teacher community is waiting to desperately need your help in this regard.
I really look forward to it, and I can't wait to share my tools.
Thank you so much, Jasmyn.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
And you.